What a huge honor this is. My next guest defends his title, UFC 310 against Shavkat Rakhmonov, the undisputed UFC welterweight champion, Belal. Remember the name, Muhammad. Welcome to Submission Radio. Dude, is it time for us to change the nickname? I feel like everybody remembers your name at this point.
It got me this far. Now it's like one of those, it has to stick. I want to be remembered in history now. So we'll keep it going.
So it's never going to get to a point where you're like, I'm going to change this. Like every person in the world basically knows who I am.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll change it to Bulldozer or something stupid.
Bulldozer, I love it. I love it. People are saying bully, but Bulldozer, I love it. Bulldozer is coming into the octagon. So listen, Bulldozer, you got your fight locked in for UFC 310 against Shavkat. I got to ask you, man, how does it feel to have this fight official? I know there were a few other people in the mix. Kamaru Usman was in the mix, apparently. What got this fight over the line for you?
Kamaru Usman wasn't even in the mix. Nobody was really in the mix. Right after my fight, I knew it was going to be Shavkat. For me, I knew I was just going to mess around and talk trash because everybody wanted to have a voice now. Everybody wanted to mention my name. So, you know me, I'm always going to clap back. I love the smoke. But for myself, I always knew it was going to be Shavkat, and I always wanted to be Shavkat. Like I told Jason Anik on my podcast, I'm like, when you get the title, people say you're being hunted, right? You're the guy with the bullseye on your back. For myself, I'm always a hunter. I'm always looking at what's next. I'm always trying to see who I want to fight next. And my next target was going to be Shavkat from the beginning.
Why Shavkat, though? Is it because people consider him one of the tougher fights in the division?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the landscape, right? It's like Usman's on a 3-fight losing streak. Ian Gary and Jack Della, like neither one of them were really calling for it. And Shavkat's the guy that everybody was looking at, right? He's the scariest guy that they say is in the division. He's the undefeated guy, finishes everybody. So I just think that it made the most sense. And also for myself, right? I'm trying to leave a legacy of being the best welterweight to ever do it. And to do that, I have to have one of the best resumes to ever do it. And when you look at my resume now, I have so many big names, huge names on there. And I think adding him to the list, there's no denying me after that, right? There's no, like, even with the Leon fight, it's like, oh, well, this guy, you know, the time change affected him. This affected him. With Wonder Boy is this, with Gilbert is this. There's always excuses. But with Shavkat, I don't think there's going to be any excuses. He finishes everybody, right? He does that to everybody, walks through everybody. So now let's see what happens when he walks through a wall.
Yeah, man. Well, you would give him his first loss, 18-0 up to this point. Hey, just quickly, I know I mentioned Kamaru just before. What happened on this podcast, dude? I know you went on this podcast. It never got released. What happened on this podcast?
I mean, this podcast sucks, if I'm being honest with you. If you guys could watch it and listen to both of them, Henry's the man. Kamaru is just terrible at being a podcaster. But I went on there and, bro, it was awful. I hope they release it because it was kind of embarrassing for Kamaru. But, I mean, I'm assuming that's why he's not releasing it. But, yeah, I'm looking past him now. Now I got my eyes on Shavkat. Shavkat got a podcast like on his podcast.
You gotta get banned off everybody's podcast by the time you're done with your run in the UFC, man. But did you roast him? Like, did you give him some jokes and he just couldn't really take them? Like, what did
I didn't even like I just hit him with facts and truth. And I think that his ego is so big that it hurt him a little bit, right? He's so used to talking back and forth with like morons like Kobe Covington and stuff. But when he has somebody that's intelligent and way wittier than all these guys and smarter than these guys, I think that his ego got involved and it started hurting him. It started stinging a little bit. So, yeah, once you're a champion of the past and you see the real champion standing in front of you, I think it just it doesn't sit right with you. And I think for him, it hurt him to see the champion in front of him, and it affected him in a way that almost brought him to tears.
Dude, really? So did he actually get pretty upset during the recording?
I'll leave it at that. We'll just keep it right there.
Well, let's get everybody on the internet. We want to see the recording,
tapes, right?
The lost tapes,
you gotta holler at
brother.
to release the tapes.
I want to see them, man. This is unbelievable. And by the way, when you do a podcast, it's bad because they'd want the views. So it's got to be bad for them not to be putting it out. Hey, by the way, man, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, you had an interesting couple of weeks. You've had a couple of people coming for you. What's the deal with Ilia Topuria calling you a fake champion? the other week. What was your reaction when you saw that?
Well, that clown that came from, they asked me about Ilia was coming at Islam, and I said, be careful what you say to Islam and these guys from Dagestan. They don't play right. You don't sit there and disrespect them in the ways that you're trying to, because he gets really stupid with the way he talks trash because he's not really good at it. And I'm sure he just has people in his ear trying to get him to like, he's trying to make noise, right? He's trying to be that guy that, oh, look, I'm this bad guy now. I'm this guy now. But he's not good at trash talk. So I just said that, watch what you say to these guys, because if they do see you in public, you're going to get arm lowballed. You're going to get slapped. And then he's like, oh, this guy's a fake champion. He's calling McGregor a fake fighter. Like I said, he's not very witty with what he says. But, I mean, he's fighting next week, right? So pay attention to the guy that you're fighting. Look at Max Holloway. That's the guy that you need to be looking at right now, because you don't want to look this way. You're just going to look stupid.
Yeah, man. What do you make of him even trying to get this fight with Islam down the track? He wants it apparently next.
It's stupid, right? Because you haven't earned it. Like, even for myself, when I say I want to fight the Driscus or go up to middleweights, like, I know what I have to do. I have to beat these next guys in line. You've had one fight against Volkanovski. He's gonna have a rematch. So first you got to get past Max, then you got Volk, then you got Movsar right there, undefeated. That's, looking great every single fight. So it's like there's a lot of guys in your division you haven't beaten yet. And I know you had a great fight against Volkanovski, but Max isn't Volk. Max has never been knocked down, never been knocked out before. And Max looked amazing his last fight. So for myself, I think Max is going to beat him. And then we won't hear much from him. I think he's going to go quiet after that.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a cool fight, but I think you're right. It's going to be a tough one. And, Volko was in Sydney today talking about potentially a fourth fight with Max. So we'll see what happens with Ilia in that one. And by the way, man, another person coming at you was Conor McGregor. He was coming at you too. What's going on? There's something in the air. What was your reaction when McGregor was talking about like hitting you with the left hook, something to do with...
Yeah, like you said, there's something in the air, right? I think that's cocaine. That's what they call it. This guy is always high or drunk. And the only way that he's gonna imagine that beating me is if he's high or drunk. There's nothing that'll ever happen. He won't be coming back to 170. He won't be coming back to fighting, I don't think. He needs to go back to rehab. And like I said, if he needs a ride there, I'll help him out. I'll give him an Uber there. But yeah, somebody needs to help this guy. He's not gonna be fighting anytime soon.
Dude, you're a kind guy. Free Ubers from Belal for anybody out there that's in need. Hey, let's talk about Shavkat quickly. Like you mentioned, this guy is a challenge, right? You want to fight him because people believe he's one of the biggest challengers out there. How does he compare to you, to some of the guys that you've beaten in the UFC? How high up there is he as a challenge to you compared to some of the guys that you've beaten?
I mean, to get to where he is, right? To have that record of being a finisher and finishing everybody, it's huge. But I think that the difference with me and everybody he's faced is I'm not going to go in there intimidated. I fought in every style. I fought everybody, the best of the best, right? I've been the biggest names. And for myself, I've gotten over all those humps. He hasn't gotten over that hump yet. A lot of the guys he's fought, they go in there and intimidated already, seeing him. And you can just see it in a lot of these guys. They'll just fall or they'll break right away. For him now, it's like, now you're going against somebody that's tougher than you. You're going against somebody that's not going to fold. You're going against somebody that's going to stand right there in front of your face the whole time. Then what do? How do you react? He hasn't had to face that type of fighter in the UFC yet. He hasn't had to have those type of wars yet. So it's going to be a real learning experience for him. And like I said, there's no beef and there's nothing that's creating. I don't need to create a beef with it because I think it's an amazing fight regardless. But I think in general, this fight, it's going to show the world how good, how much above I am above all these welterweights.
How do you rate his grappling, man? Obviously, you're one of the best grapplers in the division, one of the most successful ones to apply it to MMA. How do you rate his grappling going into this one?
I mean, he obviously has grappling. He has submissions. He has this, but like I said, when you're looking at the way he gets his submissions or his takedowns, it's like you took down Wonderboy. I took down Wonderboy in the first minute of the fight. You got him in a great submission, but like I said, it was one of those where he just stayed there and he waited for you to get the submission. I just think great fighter, right? But I just think I'm above it.
I remember when you spoke to me maybe about a month ago, you said you see yourself finishing him. Do you still see yourself sort of putting him out on the feet? Is that still the way that it goes in your head? Obviously, your striking's looking great,
Yeah, 100%. I
especially,
think
yeah.
obviously you always imagine you see things in your head, right? And for myself, that's how I see it in this fight. I see myself going in there and getting the finish. You're looking at the the way he's fought and the way he's not a Leon Edwards. He's not gonna. I don't. My mentality going to Leon Edwards, he's gonna break. He's gonna fold. Shavkat doesn't have fold in him. He doesn't have break in him. He's tough. He's tough. So I'm looking at myself and I'm knowing that I have to go to another gear. I have to go to another level. And I think I'm gonna reach that level because even with myself in that last fight, I wasn't even the best version of myself. I went in there, it was, 5 a.m. Weird time zone change across the world, and I still looked great, right? But that was still not who I am. I'm still better than that. So this next fight, you're gonna see a version of myself that'll kill the last version of myself, and it's just gonna be the best version in the welterweight history.
You know what's crazy about this whole time change thing that people keep talking about is like you had to fight at that shitty time yourself. Like I feel like people forget you were one half of that
Yeah.
fight, right? Like isn't that weird sometimes? They're
People
like,
are
well,
just looking for excuses, right? They're looking for any reason of why I would lose or why he won or why he looked like this. And you just look stupid, right? Because we're both fighting at the same time. We're both in the cage, walking out at the same time. It's not like he's in the cage. He has to wait for me to wake up 5 hours later. Then I'm going in the cage. No, we're both in there. We're both struggling to stay awake until 3, 4 a.m. In the morning, and then going down to the arena. Like there's no excuses there, and people could
it,
sit there and look and search for excuses, but at the end of the day, I'm beating everybody. I'm walking through everybody, and I'm making it look easy. So you guys keep writing your excuses, making up your excuses, asking for excuses, but there's no excuse. I'm the best man. I'm the best welterweight in the world.
yeah, you literally went for a nap, I think, after that win, which is a pretty funny post-fight celebration. Hey man, I said that you were coming on the show. We got a bunch of fan questions, so I got a couple for you if that's okay.
Yeah.
I picked out a couple for you. Question from Ethan, man. He wants to know what's your prediction for Max? I mean, for Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. That's an interesting fight. What's your perspective on that one? Who do you think's going to get it done?
Yeah, honestly, like I'm just hoping that they make it to fight day, right? That's one
Yeah.
of those fights I can't wait for it to come in, and to know that it's a week away is it's huge. But for myself, I think I got Hamza taking him down. I don't know, I have him by submission. We've seen Whitaker get taken down by Duplessis with like a headlock. And Hamzat's wrestling is so good to see how dominant he has been with wrestling. I think he's gonna go in there and do the same exact thing to Whitaker, but Whitaker really hasn't fought somebody that took him down and held him down, except for Duplessis, and that was a more recent fight. So now he has a guy that's his full game plan. Is coming in there, shooting on you, taking you down. I think the last guy he's fought that was trying to like just wrestle him for the most part was Brunson. But I think that Hamza has more submission threats when he takes him down and better cardio.
Mm. We've had a bunch of people ask this question, so I'm just going to summarize it. Do you ever see a point where you go on Ariel Helwani's show and you guys sort of bury the hatchet? People just writing in 1,000 questions about this when they found out you were coming on the show.
No, because at the end of the day, people will say whatever they want to say, right? They're looking for reasons why I don't go on the show, but they're trying to say, "Oh, it's his manager." And I was like, "No." Before I was with Ali, I had a different management group, and he never invited me on the show. He never asked me to be on the show. My coach, Lewis Taylor, PFL middleweight champion of the world, the oldest middleweight to
Yeah,
to do it, right?
legend.
Biggest underdog on the card. He got never invited on the show. So I think there's a reason why he's not inviting me or my team on the show. And I know he's looking for these, and he's trying to play the role of like, oh, look at this one part where I said something nice about Belal and I said this, but it's like that's what he does. He knows how to play the storyline like that and act like it's this or that, but there's reasons why he hasn't invited us on the show. There's reasons why he's sitting there and downplaying my success and my story of how hard it's been for me to get to where I am today. So no, I don't. For me, I don't really hate anybody in this world, right? I don't need no beef for anybody. I don't keep that energy, but it's a waste of my time to go on that show to give him views.
This is a good one here, man. I've been actually wondering this one from at Misso. How do you mentally prepare before fights? Do you have like a routine or something that you like to do before your fights? Because I know you're always dialed in and you're always on your game plan. And in there, you look so calm and sort of focused. How do you get ready mentally before fights?
Honestly, like, I do a bunch of certain different things like mentally, and just like, take notes of what I'm gonna do. And it's always when I write my routine or I write my stuff down, I'm looking at it as like a job, right? I look it down as like, all right, these are the stuff that I need to get done. This is what I need to do once I get in the cage. These are the areas that I need to hit, and those are my target points. I don't look at it as, oh man, I'm going into a fight right now. I'm super nervous. Whatever happens, happens. I'm looking at all the things that I need to hit. Those are my targets. Those are what I need to do. This is what's going to happen. If this doesn't happen, then I got to go here. This doesn't happen, I got to go here. But I have kind of like an instruction manual of what I'm doing before I get in there. And obviously for me, being a Muslim, I just look at things differently too, right? It's whatever happens is God's plan. So it's free. It frees myself from the stresses. If I'm meant to win, I'm meant to win. If I'm meant to lose, I'm meant to lose. God puts me here for a reason. God made this happen for a reason. And there's a reason for everything in this world that happens. So whether it's ups or downs, I know God made it happen. It's already written. So I can work as hard as I want to work. And I put all the work in, put all the training in, and then now it's in God's hands. That's one of the biggest things that frees me and makes me more calm in there. And I think that just like relieves the stress of having to win or having to perform in a certain way. Because at the end of the day, it's like your life could end tomorrow. So don't put so much stress on your life today, or yesterday, or think in the past, because all those things happen for that reason, to make you what you are today. I've had losses where I wanted to cry and I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, and I think back to those losses, and it made me turn up in certain ways and get better in certain ways. To that, I'm another level now. And now I look at it and I say, God tested me for that reason. God tested me to put me there for that reason. So even in every fight I go into, I know it's going to be a test. I know it's going to make me work harder. And even after the fight, whether it's a win or a loss, I got to show mentally that no matter what happens, you got to praise God for whatever happens in your life.
Dude, that's really inspiring and a great insight. I think a lot of people can take a lot away from that. And we've got another question here, just to switch the gears up. Black Chronicles poll wants to know. This is going to be a hard question to answer. What's the best pizza in Chicago? I know you guys are known for your pizza, right? What is the best pizza in Chicago, Belal?
For me, I like Palermo's. It's a thin crust pizza in Chicago. I always go there literally after every fight, and it's a thin crust, so it's not a
Not the
thick
deep
crust that
dish.
everybody talks about. I like deep dish, but for me, I love thin crust more. This one's like a sweet sauce. Yeah, if you're ever in Chicago, go to Palermo's. It's fire.
A sweet sauce?
Yeah, it's really good.
Like but what's on the pizza? Like just the normal stuff, or?
I just eat cheese, but it's cheese, but
Okay.
it's like the sauce is like a sweeter. Sometimes you get like pizza sauces that are
Okay.
too rich or whatever, but this one's really good.
Over here in Australia, we do barbecue sauce on our pizzas. So
I love barbecue pizza. Yeah.
prepare yourself if you ever come down. Final fan question from Skyper. If you are to move to middleweight, man, how many title defenses do you want at 170 before you start considering moving up and potentially fighting Drickus or whoever is going to be the champion there in the next few fights?
I think after 2, I could start talking about it, right? Because if you look at my resume now, I have 6 or 7 wins in the top 15. So I already fought a lot of these guys. So now if I beat Shavkat, it's like you got Ian Gary, you got JDM, you got Kamaru, but some of those guys are gonna have to fight each other. So you're gonna have to figure out who's the next clear contender after that. And then I beat that guy, then it's like, all right, well, now I can start looking at middleweight just because I've been in so many of the welterweights already.
All right, man. Well, as we wrap up, I want to quickly bring up some attention to Remember the Show with Jason Anik and yourself. A great podcast. Love watching that. What's coming up leading into your fight, man? What can people look out for on the big pod?
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, we usually do a game show, but I think for this camp, we're gonna just be giving you guys more insight onto camp, what we're doing, how camp fight's going. A lot of people want in-depth ideas of what guys do during fights. And I think we're gonna go that type of route. Just speaking about it, speaking what we do for the week, what we eat for the week, and things like that.
All right, make sure to follow the Bulldozer. We'll keep working on the name at Bully B170, dude. And congratulations on the big fight being locked in. I can't wait to watch you back in action, UFC 310 against Shavkat, the UFC undisputed champion Belal Muhammad.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.